Over the last week or so, there's been a lot of talk about policies on YouTube and how they seem to pick and choose when these are actually enforced, pretty much on a case-by-case basis. And this is something that's been talked about a lot over the years on YouTube. But the main thing that sort of sparked this conversation once again is a video made by Corey Kenshin, who I'm sure most people, at least on this sort of gaming side of YouTube, are pretty familiar with. And as a result of this video, a lot of other really popular creators have come out and made videos talking about their past issues with YouTube and feeling like they've been treated unfairly when it comes to the content that they're putting out and having things taken down or getting age restrictions that they don't really think were fair at all. So for those who haven't already seen it, I'll just give you a quick little summary of Corey's video just so you know what's going on. So Corey uploaded a video on a game called The Mortuary Assistant that he was doing a playthrough of. This is a game that was pretty popular. A lot of other gaming channels were also uploading this game at the time. And he noticed that one of his videos was age restricted, and so he went to go check to see if other people had the same problem, and his video was the only one that was age restricted. And he didn't really feel like it was fair for his video to be age restricted and no one else's was, so he decided to file for an appeal, which in typical YouTube fashion was rejected. And so he got into contact with his YouTube rep and kind of was asking, well, I don't really understand what's wrong with this video. And YouTube rep told him it could be there was a few scenes in the game that kind of dealt with like self-harm and things like that, so that could be the reason why it got an age restriction. So Corey then followed up by checking out other YouTubers to see if anyone else had these same scenes in their video, and he stumbled across a Markiplier video which also had the same exact scenes in it and was not age restricted. So he sent this to the YouTube rep asking, hey, why is my video age restricted for these scenes and Markiplier's isn't? And so the YouTube rep kind of got in contact with YouTube themselves to figure out what was going on. And what ended up happening is Corey's video actually lost the age restriction because he sent the Markiplier clip. Now I saw a lot of people in this part of the video saying like, well, I mean, you got what you wanted, right? I mean, you wanted the age restriction taken off, which is true. That was what Corey wanted initially, was to lose the age restriction because he didn't feel like it was deserved at all. But the problem is that when he filed for an appeal, it was basically saying, hey YouTube, I feel like you made a mistake here. My video was age restricted, no one else's was, even though it has the same thing going on. They told him, no, Corey, your video deserves to be age restricted. So he said, okay, fine. Clearly it was against their rules. Whatever I did was against what their rules are. So then he said, hey, well, Markiplier also did the same thing that is against the rules. And instead of giving him an age restriction because it's against the rules, they said, oh wow, Markiplier did it? Okay, well then I guess it's fine, Corey. That's the problem that he had, is the fact that Markiplier's video somehow transcends and is just so far above the rules that if Markiplier did it, then okay, cool, you can do it now. That's basically how it came across. So then after this happened, Corey sent his YouTube rep an email kind of complaining and talking about how he felt like that was unfair and there was some clear favoritism going on. And so the YouTube rep sent it over to YouTube and talked about it and everything. And a few days later, not only did Corey's video get age restricted again, but now Markiplier's video was also age restricted. So YouTube initially wanted to just kind of let Markiplier be fine with whatever he's doing. And since Corey kind of called them out for it, they were like, okay, fine, we'll just let you slide, whatever. But then he said, wait a minute, but why is Markiplier's video above your guys' rules? Like, why is it changing just because Markiplier did it? So then they said, okay, well, actually, never mind. We'll just age restrict them both and whatever. Because they know at the end of the day, that's a bad look for them. And so, like, just to put it like in another way, right? Imagine you're in school, right? You guys just had like a test or something the other day, right? You're looking through your quiz that just got graded or whatever, and you see, I don't know, question 14 was marked wrong, right? But you look at the question, you're like, wait, but how is this wrong though? So you go to the teacher and you're asking like, hey professor, like, I don't understand how I got this question wrong. Like, can you explain it to me? He tells you again that like your answer's wrong, right? And you still don't really understand why it's wrong, but you're like, okay, whatever, fine. He says wrong, like whatever. But then you ask somebody like, every class had that like teacher's pet kid that like could just do no wrong, right? So you ask that person, like, hey, what'd you get on number 14? And they got the same answer as you, but theirs wasn't marked wrong, right? So you go and talk to the teacher with that person with you, like, hey, you just told me this answer's wrong, but they got it right on their test. Like, what's up with that? And then the teacher's like, well, you know what? After thinking about it a little bit more, I think it actually is right. And it's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? You think it's right now after thinking about it? I just came up to you and talked to you about it to confirm that it was wrong, and then you just told me, yeah, it's wrong. But now that I came up here and brought somebody else over here that you happen to like more than me, now all of a sudden the answer is right. Like, that doesn't really make sense. That there's something going on there. And so that's what Corey was calling out. And so based on all this stuff that happened, Corey came to the conclusion that YouTube, for one, is playing favorites, and two, he believes that there might be some racism involved. Now, I personally don't think that racism really was the reason. But I do want to say that I see a lot of people saying that like, no, there's just no way, like that's impossible. Like as if you have to just be so blatantly racist, like it just has to be so clear, like there's just no doubt for it to kind of come off in that way. Because I've had experiences in my life where they didn't just come up to me and like beat me up and just spit on me and like call me N-word over and over, you know? But there's been times where things kind of happened and it was just like, I don't know, something was kind of off about that. And when something like this happens, you're kind of thinking, because one of the things with YouTube is that when they do stuff like this, when they age restrict you or reject your appeals or whatever, they don't explain the reasons why. They used to kind of do that, but they don't anymore. They don't tell you the reasons. They don't give you any hints as to like, oh yeah, this part of the video was the problem. They don't tell you anything. They just do it, right? So when something like that happens, all you're left to do is really just kind of think like, I wonder why that happened the way it did. Like, what was the problem? What's going on here? And so things like, favoritism and stuff like that is going to pop up. But being black also kind of adds another layer to it. Like I said, personally, to me, I wouldn't have come to the conclusion that it's racist, but I can't say it wouldn't have crossed my mind. I wouldn't have been like, oh, well, that's possible. In the end, I probably would have just said, nah, it's probably not. But I can't say it wouldn't cross my mind. And I don't really see how you can blame him for at least thinking about that. And at the end of the day, he didn't say like YouTube is 100% without a doubt racist. He said he believes that there is some racism there. And like I said, it doesn't have to be, sometimes there are just signs, like sometimes things just don't feel right. I've had people like follow me around in stores where, you're walking around, as soon as you walk in the door, they're kind of looking at you funny. And as you're walking around the store, there's just always happens to be the same worker doing some work right next to you, looking at you the entire time. Like things like that happen. I've had a lady follow me around in the store and then follow me around in the next store I went into. And like, I can't say 100% that race was involved, but it just, it seems kind of funny. There's something off about that. So again, I don't really see why it's so outrageous for him to think that race is involved. And really, whether you agree that it's racist or not is not really the point, because the favoritism that he pointed out is still undeniable. Like that is a part of YouTube, whether it's looking at the algorithm and who gets their videos promoted to everyone. Even outside of just like your own algorithm, like the videos that you like and watch, and you kind of have your own algorithm where videos related to the things you already watch and like kind of gets pushed up onto your home feed. I'm talking about like even what Corey said, when you log out and you look at YouTube, you see the people that they promote, you see the people that are on the top of their list and their favorites. It also plays a part in the policies being enforced. You can look at Jacksepticeye made a video about this whole situation after Corey's, and he was talking about how there are times when him and his girlfriend upload the same video. I mean, not the same exact video, but the same type of video, and her video will get flagged or age restricted or whatever, and his video will just be perfectly fine. Or if it does get flagged and everything, it's like days after. He even said she got flagged for the same exact game that Corey is playing, and he didn't, at least not until a few days after. And then he's also said he's had situations where his video will get flagged, but then somebody like Markiplier's won't. So there's just a lot of problems here with YouTube. You got things like favoritism, then there's just the inconsistency with how the policies are enforced. We don't have any kind of communication. We still don't know if the appeal process is done by humans or just some kind of AI algorithm android robot. We have no idea. They don't tell us anything. When your videos get appealed or get age restricted, they still don't tell you what the actual problem is. So all of these different things are being brought to light right now on YouTube, and just all kinds of creators across the platform are talking about all of these different things going on, sharing their different experiences, and it seems like nobody's safe from it really. And going back to Corey for a second, he's been talking about how he notices that there's a bit of a trend where whenever his videos are #1 trending or something, whenever he comes back, because he tends to go on hiatus a lot, but whenever he comes back, his videos are #1 trending pretty much all the time for like a whole week straight. And then all of a sudden, he'll get hit with some kind of random strike or age restriction or something that just kind of gets in the way and messes up his videos. Because for those of you that don't know, when you get hit with something like that, it messes up the algorithm, because your video, like let's say it gets age restricted, is not going to be pushed out to as many people. So your video is basically just dead. And so Corey notices that every time he comes back and his numbers are blowing up and everything, something like this tends to happen. And so clearly there's just, whether you agree it's targeted towards him or not, clearly there is something just crazy going on YouTube. If all of these other content creators are in agreement that yeah, something is wrong with YouTube right now. Like no matter which way you try and spin it, it all comes back to YouTube, whether it is favoritism, whether it's inconsistency, whether it's just incompetence really. And again, I can't say that YouTube is without a doubt racist in the same way that Corey can't, in the same way that anyone else can't, but I also can't 100% say they're not. And I can't say that it wouldn't cross my mind if I was in the same situation that Corey's in. And just something else I think it's important to highlight is that Corey is probably one of the most family-friendly content creators on the platform. I'm not even just talking about black creators, I'm talking about just across the entire platform itself. I mean, there's no cursing in his videos at all. He censors the curse words in the video games that he plays or videos that he's watching or whatever he's doing. He's not involved in any kind of controversies or anything, I mean, aside from this, but it's not like he's done anything wrong. He doesn't have a bad track record to his name or anything like that. And the fact that someone like that, with as big as a following as Corey has, he has like 14 million subscribers or something like that, can still be treated this way by YouTube is a problem. And even though his videos are so family friendly that you would think, well, anybody can watch these videos. And yet his videos aren't really promoted the same as a lot of other people. When you log out of YouTube, you won't see a Corey Kenshin video on your home feed. And the people you do see, a lot of times, aren't as family friendly as he is. Because at the end of the day, Corey's not as marketable as other people. Not because of his content, not because of the language or anything that he uses, not because of the games that he plays or anything, but because of other reasons. And I'll just leave it there. There's something else I want to get into in a second, but before I do that, I just want to say thank you to Corey and to all the other YouTubers who have been talking about this issue. And I don't just say that as a black creator myself, but just as someone who uploads on YouTube in general, because I feel like the unfair treatment going on behind the scenes at YouTube is just bad for all of us. So when I see some of the biggest creators on the platform speaking out about it, it's definitely a good thing to see. And at the end of the day, it probably won't change much, but at least now we see that everyone's kind of on the same page and this is happening to everyone. And so again, thank you to Corey, especially because I know that him coming out making that video could have a lot of negative effects on his channel. You never know. And so real quick, the other thing I want to talk about that I actually found out through his video even exists is something called YouTube Black, which I actually had no idea this was a thing, and apparently it's been around since 2020. So I just completely missed that one, I guess. But Corey was talking about how he has like a problem with this, right? And I thought I was the only one, to be honest, but when I see things like this happen, it kind of gives me like a weird vibe. Like, I don't know. Basically, YouTube Black is a little thing they got going on where they have like the class of whatever year, and they're trying to like promote, black content creators and stuff like that or whatever. And on the surface, that seems nice, right? Like, they're promoting black creators and everything. And the way things are kind of going on in the world, it's nice to see that, black people are given a, shine and stuff like that, right? Cool. But it kind of comes across as hollow when you see things like this happening with somebody like Corey, or lots of other black content creators who have talked about this Corey situation have dealt with things that they felt were happening because they were black, right? So you see YouTube kind of talking about how they want to support black people and basically give black creators a, time to shine and stuff like that. But behind the scenes, they're kind of pushing them down. It's like, it just doesn't seem right. Like, it's something about that is just kind of off. And again, like Corey said, like, you have Corey, a black creator, coming to you, trying to figure out what is going on, trying to have that communication with you. He didn't make this video just like, oh, they messed up, I'm just quick to it. Like, he's been trying to figure out why this is happening and talk to you guys, and you guys don't say anything. You just leave him in the dark about everything that's going on, and at the same time try and act like you're promoting black people while also treating them like trash behind the scenes. It's kind of like, well, what's really going on here? Because the way I see it, with how much control they seem to have over the algorithm, if it was really just about promoting black people, then they could just promote them through the algorithm and have their videos reach out to more people. But instead, they kind of, they changed the name and they got this promotional video and they've got all these people partnered, and like they just got all this stuff going on, all these extra things associated with it. When it feels really about supporting them, then they could just do that. But when you try and act like you're supporting them and promoting them to everyone who sees, to everyone on the outside, but then behind the scenes, you have your inconsistent policies and no communication and all this stuff going on, it just rings hollow. That's all I'm really saying. And if these people were being treated equally on your platform, you wouldn't have to do all this promoting in the first place. And then when you think about people who don't really use YouTube like all that much, when they hear about something like this, instead of it being what YouTube is claiming it's supposed to be, where it's, oh yeah, I'd like to see that a lot of, people are supporting these black creators and they're, able to shine on this platform and, all these type of things, right? It comes across as, wow, it's really nice that YouTube is supporting these people. So then now YouTube is kind of the one that's getting the praise there. And I don't have the numbers right in front of me to see like how much these channels have really blown up or anything, or have grown since they've gotten the shout out from YouTube. And yes, I imagine that the channels have grown somewhat. And I did also see that they're donating money, so there is some good that comes out of this for sure. I'm not saying it's completely like some kind of evil, like nefarious plan or something crazy, but I do kind of question the intentions of it. But I don't know, that's just me. You guys let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments, because to me it just seems a little phony, but maybe it's just me, I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate it if you guys could leave a like on the video if you did indeed enjoy the video. And if not, you can feel free to leave a dislike as well. I'm not gonna take it personally or anything. I'm trying to improve my channel as much as I can. So any feedback you guys leave is definitely appreciated. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about all this stuff going on with the Corey situation and just YouTube in general. And with all that said, I'll see you guys in the next video.